All right, is this thing working? I don't know how to start this video. I guess I've never written a personal journal or done a video journal. This kind of came to my mind today to write this out or start documenting this. Gary V, don't create, document. So, all right, let me go to my notes real quick because I wrote down some stuff. Where do I start with this video? So I guess first, this video is, I don't know if I'm ever going to release this publicly, if this is just going to be a journal to myself. I tried to record this on YouTube just a minute ago, but I couldn't figure out how to share my screen, which is important for this video. So I'm doing this on Loom right now, but this is a video journal. Kind of a introspective conversation with myself in my life and decisions that I'm making. I'm kind of at a pivotal moment right now in my life, recovering from homelessness and a multi-year depression. Let's start where I'm at. So I am currently in Austin, Texas. It is August 31st, right? Yeah, August 31st, 2023, 3 years after COVID. Staying at my friend Camille and James's house. They are engaged right now. They're actually going to get their food tasting for their wedding, which is in January, in 4 months. And they are amazing people. I met them through a girl that I was dating briefly about 3 years ago when I was living in Austin, Texas. I'm currently living in Indiana. But yeah, I guess let's talk about what we're going to discuss in this video. I'm in a point in my life where I'm deciding what I'm going to do for the next 10 years of my life or so, or at least the next couple years. Definitely the next couple years. I'm also looking for a life partner. I'm looking for, I guess I can say, a wife, but my definition of a wife might be different than most people's. I'm a little unorthodox, as we'll discuss in a bit. Let me stand up. Maybe I can think and talk better when I'm standing, because usually I think a lot when I'm in the shower, and I stand. And I feel like I think better when I stand. I probably should have put a shirt on now that I think about this for this video. This is very unprofessional, but I guess it's a journal, so I don't know if anyone's going to see this. All right, I'm just going to use my phone for my notes. So let's go to my journal. Apologize for the delays. I know this is very annoying. So, I'm deciding what to do with my life for the next couple years, looking for a wife, looking for a life partner. I'm 33 now. My 20s, I spent most of my time partying, having fun, wasting my time, wasting my energy, spending it with the wrong people, spending it with the wrong women. Not really knowing who I am, not having a solid identity, not having developed my masculinity, rejecting responsibility, rejecting, growing up, boyhood. If you're familiar with Peter Pan's story and Jordan Peterson's psychology, you might be familiar with what I'm talking about. But I love to travel. I'm an explorer. Let me show you a screen here real quick. I want to give you a background on who I am and who I was and who I'm trying to become. And I think this might help you out if you're a man watching this. It's important. I think especially when it comes to having a wife or a partner in life, I'm a firm believer you are the 6 people closest to you, and the closest person that'll ever be to you in your life is going to be your wife, your partner in life. Vice versa, if you're watching this as a woman. The man that you have next to you for the rest of your life will have a very impactful position in your life. So, I think finding a partner revolves around finding the person that fits who you are and fits the lifestyle that you want. And in order to find a partner, you have to understand who you are, and you have to understand the lifestyle that you want. So before I can find a partner, see, I'm having these ideas as I'm talking right now. Like, these are free flowing. This isn't something that I scripted out or thought about. So now that I'm saying this, I think this journal is going to be useful because I'm realizing stuff as I'm saying it. So yeah, I haven't been able to really find a life partner for the past 10 years, mostly because I haven't been looking. I've been emotionally detached to the point where I couldn't, bond with somebody. But you can't find a partner in life if you don't know the type of life that you want. And if you don't know who you are, how can you know what type of life you are? I think the eternal question that everyone asks is, who am I and why do I exist? And I think our entire lives are really just one continuous journey of learning who we are, learning who I am. If I think back 10 years ago, I didn't know who the fuck I was. I had no idea what I enjoyed or what I liked, and I think that's normal when you're young. You're not supposed to be the most self-aware person when you're 20, but it gets to a point where you should. So I've spent a lot of energy and a lot of time over the past 3 years while being homeless and rebuilding my life to understand who I am. Dove into psychology and spirituality, a little bit of religion, to map out who I am. So one of the best things that I found that has helped me out tremendously, and I want to give this to you, whoever you are watching this. This is Principles in You. This is a personality assessment that was based, it was built by Ray Dalio, Bridgewater and Associates, the founder of Bridgewater and Associates, which is one of the most successful hedge funds in the world, multi-billion-dollar company that is one of the most successful hedge funds in the world. They average 22% a year over year in the stock market, which is insane for those of you who are not in finance. Absolutely ridiculous returns. But Ray Dalio wrote a book called Principles, which is one of the best-selling books of all time, too, which is I highly recommend anybody, especially young men, read that book. But I think that's a good example of like why a man needs to have principles and discipline in his life and direction. But anyways, Ray Dalio was big into personality assessments, Hexaco personality assessment, and the Big Five factor model of personality, which is Jordan Peterson is a huge proponent of. One of the most accurate personality assessments you can possibly do. If you're familiar with Briggs-Myers archetypes in the ENTJ, that's kind of pseudoscience. It's not highly accurate from a scientific perspective, but these personality assessments are. And I specifically like Principles in You assessment built by Ray Dalio because he built this assessment specifically for business. And I see myself as a businessman, and it's really useful for understanding what your strengths are in business and in finance and in how you can make money and how you can provide value to a company, which ultimately, if you can put yourself in a position career-wise that fits who you are as a personality, it will increase your emotional value, your emotional. You'll enjoy what you're doing, and the more you enjoy what you're doing, the more money you will make, and the better you will be at what you do because you enjoy it. So, let me just walk you through this real quick. I am an explorer, and an inventor, and a growth seeker. I'm not going to go through all the details, but you can go take this assessment. But what I really like about this assessment is this right here. These are essentially the islands, and this is great for businesses and building a team. If you're watching this and you are trying to connect with people and build a team or build something beyond yourself, this is a very useful tool. So I am on the far left side. I am a creator, an adventurer. I'm working with somebody who's basically one of my partners and lead admins. He is an investigator, which is the exact opposite side of what I'm doing. And this is just a really great tool to map out who you are and what you enjoy, and also where you're weak at. I am not the left side of this quadrant. The left side is very conceptual, ethereal, high view strategy. They're really bad. Creative people are bad at being organized and bad at being in the weeds and being diligent and having tasks and everything put together. People on the left side are way more organized and diligent, and then the people at the bottom are very introverted. Actually, I think they're protectors, and then the top side is more extroverted people. But yeah, anyways, this is a quick rundown of me. I just wanted to share this with you because I think it's a great tool for anybody to assess themselves and so you can understand a little bit about me. So what we're going to dive into is I was flying on the plane here to Austin, Texas, listening to a book called I keep forgetting the name. It's a kind of a heavy-handed religious book. I'm not big into the religious, you know. I find that there is utility in religion. I like religion more than I do churches. Let's put it that way. We won't get into the religious conversation here, but the book's called Wild at Heart, and it kind of uses Jesus. Jesus is he's the ideal man. He's the perfect man, essentially. Like if you look at it from an archetypical psychological perspective, he's the man that like he is just like the pinnacle of what every man should aspire to be. Long story short, so interesting concept in the book. He talks about how church kind of dilutes Jesus. So if you look at Jesus from a perspective or the lens of a church, Jesus is very nice. He's very passive. He's very kind. He's very giving and loving. He's a bit of a pussy is what I'm getting at. But the writer puts it in context. Like if you actually look at the scripture and you actually listen to the stories of Jesus, he's a bit of a badass. Actually, he will fuck you up. Like he stands for what he believes in, and he will do what he fucking thinks that he needs to do, and he's not going to apologize about it. Now, forgive me. I am not versed well in religion, so if I'm butchering any of this, please forgive me. Long story short, what I'm getting at is, in the book, he discusses like the three aspects of masculinity and what men really, what vitalizes masculinity, what drives a man to wake up and fucking live. And it's very interesting. If you imagine it as a triangle, as a pyramid, one point you have adventure. Every man desires adventure. There is something innate about masculinity and going out and exploring the world, or doing something that is unknown, going out into the wilderness. The other point of the triangle is a challenge. A man has to be challenged. A man has to overcome something. He has to fight for something. He has to believe in something. And then the third aspect is the feminine. Now, I don't know if I agree completely with the book. I'm only 2.5 hours into it, but he talks about rescuing a woman. And you see this in everything, every story ever. There's some damsel in distress that needs to be rescued, that the man is obsessed with, that the man will do anything to literally die to get the woman that he loves. There's different perspectives that you can take towards that belief, but I would agree that femininity and the desire to meet a woman that you're just so fucking insanely in love with that you'll do anything to have her. There's something romantic about that. It does strike a chord, whether you are watching this as a man, whether you've been through a breakup and you're, currently depressed and going through it like I was a few years ago, or you've got a wife that you love. Like there's this aspect of femininity that invigorates and vitalizes any man. So you got those 3 points. You got adventure, you've got difficulty and challenge and combat, and then you have the feminine, the woman that you love. So over the past 3 years, I've been developing myself and understanding myself, especially after my homelessness. So let's jump into that. My history. Let's talk about my history real quick, and I'm going to show you something. Okay, so this is a Wikipedia that I'm putting together for a company I'm building. It's actually a community that I'm building in investing, but I have a story here of it kind of tells my story. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Garen Phillips. I am a YouTuber. I've been making YouTube videos since 2008, 16 years now or something. And I'll walk you through the story. So I like jiu-jitsu. Just got into jiu-jitsu, combat, challenge. I'm enjoying it. It is invigorating my masculine desire to conquer and dominate. I love it. I fucking bloody. This is my first competition. I got beat by a guy with one leg. Didn't realize he had one leg for about 15 seconds of the competition because I was tunnel visioned with an adrenaline dump. And yeah, that's another story. But love jiu-jitsu. Failed high school almost. I passed by one. I don't know if we can see this. In high school, I got straight Fs. Most of my classes, except for gym, got an A in gym in freshman year. I graduated 143 out of 156 of my class in 2008. I had a 1.8 GPA. I'm kind of pissed off that I didn't get last place. Like, if I would have liked to have been 156 out of 156 because my father personally taught me that if you're going to do something, you should at least be the best at it. So if I'm going to fail school, I might as well be the best at failing school. So I'm kind of I am upset, honestly. It still bothers me that I wasn't the worst in class. Because, why fuck off and waste if you're going to do it, just fucking do it. So if you're not first, you're last. So, yeah, after high school, I went into manufacturing as my family business. It's a multi-million-dollar family manufacturing business that my grandfather started in 1947 in his chicken coop, chiseling wood in his chicken coop. Today, that is now a full-fledged manufacturing facility. This is actually a partner facility, not our actual facility. But I worked there from 15 years old to 27 years old. Started out sweeping floors, pouring molten metal, running machines, doing all the manual labor. Taught myself 3D design and engineering, CAD/CAM, tool and die. If you've ever watched Shark Tank, I'm the guy that can literally take the idea out of your head and turn it into a mass-produced product. But I don't like doing that anymore. So that's what I did for the first 12 years of my life. In 2017, I quit my career of 12 years to start a YouTube channel. Literally turned in my 2 weeks to my dad, my father. I was supposed to inherit the business. Said, yeah, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. And I bought a house. And then the idea was to build a YouTube channel out of my garage, taking my professional manufacturing experience and my family's business and applying it to my garage and doing DIY stuff. This gets into the first aspect of not understanding yourself, not knowing who you are. And you think that you know who you are. I guarantee you that you do not know who you are. Because if you did, you would have everything figured out and you would be happy and content with your life and you would be filled with joy and you would not be depressed and you would not be unhappy with the people that you're around. But you have all those issues because you have not explored yourself. So really, I guess what I'm getting at and what all this is I'm talking to myself and exploring who I am to try to better understand who I am. And if you study great minds like Marcus Aurelius or any great fucking guy, they often talk about journaling as being one of the most important things that you can do to, explore who you are and why you exist. So this is my form of doing that, I guess, video journal instead of writing, because I guess I just, 16 years of YouTube, I talk better to myself on a video than writing. Anyways. Turns out, I quit my career, bought a property, didn't know anything about finance or investing or business, and in 8 months, I blew up $13,000 in the bank account, and I racked up $11,000 in credit card debt. And I actually mapped out my bank account when this happened. This is literally my financial reality. This is me working my 9 to 5, living paycheck to paycheck for 12 years of my life because I didn't respect my value and my time, and every dollar that I made would go right back out to partying and having fun. Then I made some money. I can't remember. I made like $4,000 doing something, and then I sold my car to start my business. I had a 1970 Duster, Vitamin C Orange. Is a beautiful car. Loved it. Miss it. And then I quit my career of 12 years, and you can see that my net worth just crashes and burns. And around here, at a couple months from filing for bankruptcy and foreclosing on my house that I purchased, I realized that I probably should learn to do business and finance correctly. And my first self-awareness awakening to develop myself and become a man, essentially. So I started studying and reading books. I had to go back to my career, working second shift, fucking pissed off, just hating myself. I started listening to audiobooks. I put in wireless headsets that just came out, and in manufacturing, you're not supposed to wear headsets because it's dangerous, but I was working second shift, and I had been working there for 12 years, and I had programmed every single machine in that building, could literally run the machines while my asleep. Long story short, I had a falling out with my father almost. We almost blew up, and it was explosive because he saw me with a headset listening to audiobooks because I was trying to educate myself to get the fuck out of the life and the situation that I was in, because I hated manufacturing. I hated that lifestyle, and I was super depressed and had to get the fuck out. So in this period to this period, I taught myself. I read 50 books on money. I actually made that into a YouTube video, which is somewhere in here that we're going to look at in a second. But I also decided that I'm going to teach myself the stock market, because 27-year-old me had the thought, I don't know anybody who is bad with money and bad at the stock. I don't know anybody who's bad at the stock market and broke. If you're good at the stock market, therefore you have money. So I'm going to learn the stock market. That was literally my logic. If you're good at the stock market, you have money, so I'm going to learn the stock market. So I started my journey of self-discovery and education on the stock market. And I made a video called How I Learned to Day Trade in a Week, which is currently 6 million views. About a week ago, I downloaded it. And it generated me about $250,000, one video. So where's my... Oh, I'm not on the right channel. I can't go into my analytics. Actually, yeah, I can. Let me go to my analytics. About a week ago, I downloaded a stock trading app called Edit video, analytics. All right, so I'm going to try to burn through this because I know this video is going to be a little bit too long. But I guess there's a lot of backstory that I have to cover in this video for you to kind of have a concept of what the next videos are going to be. So this video, just to show you that I'm not bullshitting you, since upload lifetime revenue, $212,000. I lied to you, $212,000, not exactly $250,000. I was, what, $38,000 off? $39,000 off? So, anyways, yeah, I started teaching myself the stock market. YouTube channel blew up, started making a lot of money. This revenue stream increasing here is me and my YouTube channel taking off, and started my journey of freedom. Year later, I failed at being a day trader. First account blown up. Started teaching myself long-term investing, dividend investing, swing trading, macroeconomics, hedge fund or hedging with options and sector rotation, all kinds of like macroeconomic stuff. 6 years later, I made a video, or actually 3 years later, I made a video, 50 books on money, which is all the stuff that I learned when I had to go back to my second shift career and fucking hated my life. And then in 2000, about a year ago, I started teaching myself algorithmic investing, or algorithmic design, which is essentially building robots to trade the stock market for me. We won't get into this because this is kind of part of that business. But yeah, that's my background. Now that's my business background. That's not the emotion. I think there's an aspect that a lot of people don't show in social media today because it's vulnerable and it's very exposing, to talk about the emotional side of who you are and why you do what you do and all of the pitfalls and stuff that you struggle from. So my entire life, I let people into my life that didn't deserve to be in my life, women that didn't deserve to be in my life, people that didn't deserve to be in my life. And the reason that I did that is because I didn't respect myself and I didn't value myself. I didn't value my future. I didn't value my energy. I didn't see myself as a valuable man. And I was almost ashamed of being alive, being who I am, being masculine. And again, I'm having these revelations right now as I'm saying this. I'm really speaking free flow right now. It's a little uncomfortable, but yeah, let's keep going. So over the past 6 years, teaching myself money and finance. I've made $250,000 from one YouTube video, and I don't have any of it to show today. I have experiences. I have things that I've done, which I guess is, there's no point in having money because you can't take it with you when you die, but I probably could have been a little more responsible, invested a little more, valued my future more. I think investing, this is the thing, this is what I'm trying to get at. I've taught myself investing in the stock market and money and finance for 6 years. I teach other people this stuff. And one thing I've learned is it doesn't matter. I can teach you everything you need to know about money. I can teach anyone how to make money. There's a billion fucking ways to make $1 billion. Maybe not a billion, but there's a billion ways to make at least $100,000. Making money is not the issue. That is not what people struggle with. This is what I've learned from teaching other people. It's what I've learned through my own self-discovery of finance and business is if you don't respect yourself and you don't value yourself, every dollar that comes in will go right back out because you're going to spend it on stuff to make yourself feel better. This is how consumerism in the modern American world works, is we make you feel like shit so that you spend money to make yourself feel like you're valuable. Subconsciously, you buy the Mercedes to show off to people that don't fucking care about you so that you can look cool and oh, look at me, I'm successful, but really deep down I'm insecure and I need these things to make myself feel like I have value in life. That's really what it is. That's what consumerism is. And that's why I've seen so many people, they can go from $50,000 a year to $300,000 a year and they're just as fucking broke as they were when they were poor. They look like they have money, they look like they're wealthy, but they are just as emotionally and psychologically poor. I met a guy once who was making $1 million a year, and he was the biggest douchebag I've ever met in my life. I worked for this dude, and I fucking hated him within 2 weeks. I don't even want to get into it, but this dude was the most insecure fucking guy I've ever met. And the reason that he was making $1 million a year and this big hot shot is because he was fucking insecure, and he had that syndrome where he had to prove himself and he had to be the biggest fucking dude in the room because he was so insecure. And I personally don't want to ever be like that. But anyways, let's continue. So in 2020, right as COVID happened, I was in love with a woman who I thought I was going to marry, and I was moving to Austin, Texas from my hometown. There's actually a whole story behind that. I'll tell it one day, not right now because this video is going to be too long. But I thought I was going to marry this woman, and she ended up ghosting me in the middle of COVID while I was moving to Austin, Texas, in a city that I knew no one, living downtown in Austin. And that's how I wound up in Austin. And then she jumped on another dude's... Keep it PG. She got with another guy a week later. And... yeah, I spiraled hard. I was making $20,000 a month at that time. My YouTube channel, I was living my best life. I was top 1% man, essentially. Traveling the world, doing whatever the hell I wanted, making money, $20,000 a month. I owned a property in my hometown, was renting it out, so I had passive income there as well. I had done it. I had done what every guy tries to fucking do. But I was unhappy, and I was not happy with myself. I got videos that I'll share, I guess, in future videos, or I'll review in future videos to go over. But even when I remember the first time I made $10,000 in a month, and I was fucking miserable and depressed, and with a woman that was terrible. She was a pathological liar, pretty sure a borderline personality disorder. She hid 2 kids in a 5-year relationship behind my back. I actually got a text. I broke up with her because she moved in with me. In 8 months, she didn't get a job and was a low life. And I was like, yeah, we're not getting married. You need to get the hell out of my house. But 5 months later, a guy, I was at a bachelor party for a friend, actually, and a guy hit me up on Instagram and said, hey, he sent me 5 pages of text. And I'm like, anytime somebody sends you a book of text, it's not good. He's like, how do you know so-and-so? I'm like, we were engaged. He's like, well, did you guys sleep with each other? It's kind of an odd question, but yeah. He's like, well, I've been dating her for 5 years, and she's got 2 kids you don't know about. So that's an example of a woman. There's been a few women like that in my life in my 20s. that I just attracted women like that, and I attracted them like that because I didn't respect myself and I didn't value myself enough to see beyond the bullshit. So, same thing with the girl in COVID in 2020. Pretty sure she's a borderline personality disorder woman. Yeah, actually, I know from my studies and some of the stuff she's told me that she probably is. But anyways, she ghosted me. I was living in Austin, Texas, middle of COVID. Didn't know anybody. I'm very extroverted. I need to talk to people. I need to be outside. I need to be living my best life. I'm an explorer. Again, back to knowing who you are, living the life that is correct for you. I spiraled hard emotionally. I became extremely depressed. I could not make YouTube videos. You cannot put a camera in front of your face making your living and being emotionally destroyed and depressed and like heartbroken. And it literally is like a oxytocin. It's literally like a drug withdrawal. If you get into the neurology and the hormonal systems of love and being like heartbroken, it literally is like a drug addiction that you're being snapped from. So yeah, within 8 months, my YouTube channel kind of bombed. My tenants in my house, the girl broke up with her boyfriend from military and they couldn't pay the rent. It was through COVID. I ended up having to sell the house, became homeless. I had $30,000 in the bank account, which is probably a unique scenario for most people that find themselves homeless. So I was probably the richest homeless person ever. Well, probably not ever. There's probably somebody like Bruce Wayne was a billionaire who was homeless, but I guess he's fictional. $30,000 in the bank account. There's actually a whole story behind that. There was an ice storm that came through Texas, and my $30,000 check was stuck in the mail for a week through the ice storm, and I had to stay at a hostel for a week. Got drunk because the pipes busted in the... I actually had to move out of my house, or move out of my $1,500 a month apartment that was downtown Austin, which had power through the entire ice storm, and it was a beautiful, awesome place. I had to move to the ghetto to sleep on a couch for 2 weeks, and I've got a photo of that somewhere where I was literally in my office in a ghetto. All my shit's on a floor with my laptop and computer, and I'm sleeping on the couch, and then the ice storm comes through. The pipes bust and are leaking, and I'm like, fuck this, I'm getting a hotel, and then all the hotels are booked. I have to go stay at a hostel. Long story short, it was a great experience, actually. I had a fun time with it, but... yeah, I became homeless, moved to San Diego, sleeping on couches between San Diego, Vegas, stayed in Seattle for a second, and Indiana, jumping back and forth, and really dived deep into spirituality and psychology and self-awareness and understanding who I was. And I had a decision, too, when I became homeless, and I want to make this very clear. I could have took the $30,000 and bought a place, or like rented a place. I could have took $15,000, rented a place out, stabilized myself, and played it safe. That's what I want to really point at. I could have played it safe, but for some reason, I cannot explain this. It makes no logical sense, but I think this goes back to this book. There's a call to adventure. There's a call to danger. I was always taught by my father, and especially in business, do the hard thing. It's very easy to do the easy thing. It's easy to wake up and eat Cheetos and watch TV and play video games and jerk off to porn. It's easy to be a piece of shit person. It's easy to fuck people over. It's easy to lie. It's easy to screw people over. It's easy to be a bad man. But there's something very, I don't even know what it is. There's something very alluring of being a good man. There's something very attractive of being the best fucking version of yourself possible. But it's hard. It's hard to be a good fucking person. Truly. And I knew when I was falling into homelessness, it was going to be a hard road. Sleeping on couches, jumping from place to place, not knowing where I'm going to live. I lost friends. I lost people that I loved. There was a woman that I really cared about in this period that showed me that she didn't care about me at all, and I'm pretty sure she's exactly like all the other women that I have described so far. But I can still feel my feelings for her now, and I want to make excuses for the things that she did. But the reality is, it doesn't matter at this point anymore. But I realized who had my back and who cared about me and who loved me and who didn't. So the homeless road of 2 years was rough. And I learned a lot about myself. And that was why I did it. That's why I didn't get a place, because I knew that something... I had already been through depressions. I had already been through the abyss, and I had experienced that and survived from it. Let me move this here so I can just talk. I had already developed some level of confidence in myself that I could get through it. I wasn't terrified of being homeless. And I was also not like just low-lifing it. I was staying, the first couple months I was staying in San Diego, building a life insurance company with a friend, or an agency trying to. But, you know, we were both new and young in business and didn't know what the fuck we were doing. It didn't work out, but he's still one of the best guys I ever met. He's actually like ride or die. He's one of the guys that his name's Jake Voller. I would do anything for this fucking man, because he is one of the best men that I've ever met, and he had my back instantly. There were some people I called when I was becoming homeless. I called up people that I'd known, some of them for 20 years, and I was like, hey, I might be homeless in like the next month or two. This is a hard conversation to have with a lot of people, because you learn this is being vulnerable. This is one of the things that I struggled with, is being vulnerable and being open with people. I called some people that I had known for 20 years and been like, I might be homeless in a month or two. If that happens, do you have my back? Like, can I crash at your place for, like, I'm not going to stay there. I don't want a low life. Like, I'm going to be working and like rebuilding my life. I hate feeling like I'm taking from somebody. I do not like being not being self-reliant as a man. This fucking disgusts me, to not be self-reliant. But there are times when you just have to fucking ask for help, unfortunately. Called them up. A few people said, yeah, absolutely, I'll have your back. Other ones that I thought would have my back didn't. And I learned who my friends were. I learned which in hindsight was perfect. It's terrifying to have those conversations and be vulnerable with people, but the reality is already the reality. You're just being delusional. These people are your friends, or they're not. And you want to find out who is your real friends and who has your back. And whether you're homeless or not, whether you're going through a hard time or not, these people have their feelings for you in your relationship with them, or they don't. Whether you have the hard conversations with them, like, hey, I'm homeless, do you have my back? Whether you have that conversation or not, they have your back or not. You're just not aware of it, and you're not willing to have those hard conversations, especially in relationships with a woman or a man. Like, the person that you love, you might be too terrified to express yourself because you're afraid that they won't feel the same thing. Speaking from experience there. So, anyways, this video is 38 minutes now. All right, let's wrap this up. So, now, homelessness, So, all of my 20s, I was polyamorous. Let's screwball. Yeah, I dated multiple women for about a decade through my 20s. I was engaged, 24 years old, to a preacher's daughter. Broke up with her and basically said, screw it, I'm just going to date. I don't want anything serious. I'm just going to date and do my own thing. And I decided to tell every girl that I was dating, like, hey, I'm dating multiple women. If you're not cool with that, totally understand. But this is how I'm living my life for the next few years. And it just kind of turned into like a decade long of dating multiple women. And I always was honest as possible. I hate being a guy that like uses people or is not self-reliant. I also was completely honest with every girl that I dated. I know if you're watching this, you might have different opinions or disagree with that lifestyle. That's totally fine. I think it's a lifestyle that's not for everybody. I think I'm a very explorative person. I like new things. I like doing new things. I don't like routine. I don't like doing the same thing over and over and over, which we're going to get to in a minute. But I feel like polyamory is one of those types of relationships that's not for everybody. Everybody always thinks about the sex and all that stuff, but for me, it was more of a philosophical lifestyle. Like, I really like the idea. I guess I was emotionally detached, and I like the idea that you kind of accept, in polyamory, you kind of accept that every person you date, it might not be forever. Like, you kind of accept at the beginning of the relationship, rather than the fairy tale, marriage, death to us part, we'll be together forever. Statistically, right now, if you look at marriage statistics, that is not reality. And I liked that polyamory was very raw and very real and, like, truthful. Like, hey, we're probably not going to be together for our entire life, but while we are together, let's be good to each other, and let's be honest to each other, and let's be truthful to each other. And that actually makes you value your partner more. Ironically, I gained a lot of great things from polyamory and the experiences of it, because it's like you can't hide things. You can't lie to people. You can't be dishonest. You can't hide your feelings. Like, there's 3 people. They all talk. You have to be... It forces honesty, and it forces a degree of self-awareness and emotional awareness and emotional intelligence and emotional responsibility. So, with that said, my grandparents are traditional. My grandparents are like my idols, and my grandfather is like probably the best man I've ever met. In fact, they got married at 19 years old. He built his business out of his chicken coop at 19 years old. Today it's a multi-million-dollar manufacturing facility. They literally built an empire together. Every person in my town either knows my grandma or knows somebody that knows my grandma. She's 93 years old. She's still alive today. She is the most wonderful woman in ever. Like, your grandma might be cool. She's not like my grandma. But when my grandfather died in 2008, when I started YouTube videos, I had hair down to here. I was wild as hell. I failed high school almost in no direction, just crazy. Let me see if I can pull up a photo of me in 2000. This is Gareth, actually. I call him Gareth, my alter ego, version 1.0 of Garen. So this is me in high school. There's a story behind all these tattoos. I might tell it one day, but I got to speed through this video. I really always respected my grandfather, and I grew up with family business. I had always heard the stories of my grandfather's, the story of the chicken coop and all the stuff. But at his funeral, there was a slideshow on his life. Like, I sat there. Actually, first, I stood in calling hours for 4 to 5 hours, shaking people's hands, people coming through telling me all kinds of stories about my grandfather. Literally, like, one guy was a convict, couldn't get a job anywhere. My grandfather gave him a job, put his kids through school, gave him like a small loan. This guy was standing here thanking me for my grandfather existing, and he hadn't seen my grandfather in like 10 years, like over a decade. And I'm just sitting here as this 18-year-old fuckhead with long hair who has no direction or ambition or like doesn't care about anything. And this funeral is just like hitting me really hard. Like, this is a very impactful moment in my life. And I was like, who the hell was my grandfather? Like, who was this man? Because I just knew him as my grandfather. Like, he's just grandpa. And at the end of the funeral, there was a slideshow of his life. And I saw a photo for the first time ever of the chicken coop. And then I saw the photo of him getting married and then how the business evolved over the years. And then my grandmother started her own business. And their children grew up, and they had their lives, and then I was born, and like the whole thing. And I thought that was really cool that you could look back on a man's life and see what he had accomplished. And then after the funeral, I went to Best Buy and I bought a GoPro, and that's how I started making YouTube videos, because I wanted to document my life and be a man who accomplished something. So, yeah. Long story short, even though I'm polyamorous, back to the find a partner, find a wife thing. Even though I'm polyamorous, part of why I did polyamory was so that I could increase the odds of finding a woman that I could spend my life with. If you're dating 3 women at once, you're saving time. You have a higher chance of finding a woman that you connect with. That's almost sound logic, until you realize that you can't find any person that fits you right if you don't know who you are. So I had some level of self-awareness, but not enough. So let's move forward. 2 paths to take. So this book talks about Jesus. I don't want to go, again, I want to stay away from the religious thing, but it is a very interesting story. It talks about 2 paths that a man can live. There is the call to adventure, the danger, the being bold, becoming like deciding to be homeless, doing the hard fucking thing. Every man, I feel, has a pull to that. But then there's another aspect, there's another road of playing it safe, being stable, being secure, being organized. The cubicle, I call it the cowboy life and the cubicle life. And there's value to both. There is value to both. I don't want to knock on that side, but like, I think there needs to be a balance. And I definitely was way too fucking cowboy for the majority of my 20s. And I swung hard to the cubicle life over this past year, building my business, putting my life back together, rebuilding my brand and YouTube and the stuff that I'm doing on the business side now. But I'm getting that call, that feeling is coming back of adventure. And like, I'm at a point now, traveling here, staying at my friend's house, Camille and James's, and I'm asking myself the question, who do I want to be over the next 10 years? And who do I want to spend my time with? And who do I want my life partner to be? And if I take the cubicle life, there's some women that I've known for a long time and people that I could do that life with them. But then there's the cowboy life. And that is the unknown. I don't know what's going to happen if I take that road. I'm thinking about when I get back to Indiana, which is in 10 days, I'm thinking about hitting the road and just traveling, just figure it the fuck out. Probably I should plan. I should line out. I should not make the mistakes that I made in my 20s and over these past few years. I should be more organized. This is the dilemma that I'm having. This is the internal conflict that I'm trying to line out, and that's why I'm shooting this video right now. Is how do I live a cowboy life, but also be organized and be disciplined and be a responsible and good man? How do I build the empire that my grandfather built, but also being true to that masculine adventure? Because at heart, I am an explorer. At heart, I love traveling and meeting people and being extroverted and not the fucking cubicle life. The cubicle life was the manufacturing facility. It was the family business. It was the rigidity, the day-to-day monotony, the fucking office space. You know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I know if any man watching this, probably a lot of women too. God, seriously, there were times. There were times. Not anymore though, because Mama didn't raise a bitch, and I would never do that. My brother killed himself on drugs 10 years ago. I will never do that. But I had thought. No, there's too. I love life too much. There's too. Even like that's one thing I learned through homelessness and the darkness of this past 3 years. Even through the worst moments of my life, I am blessed. This is one thing. This is the utility of religion. I have issues with religion, but one of the nice things that I think religion gives people. Well, let's define religion, I guess. Religion to me is the internal experience you have with yourself or with the universe. Like, if you're not religious, spirituality, whatever, the universe, whatever the fuck the thing is, that there has to be something. But there's church, which is the construct that humans have built, which I have issues with, which I think a lot of people have issues with. But then there's your experience that only you have with yourself and with God or the universe or Mother Nature or Zeus or whoever the fuck it is. I don't know. You have that experience. And I lost my train of thought. The calling, stable life while bold. Okay. So I'm in this crossroads. Yeah. How do I live the cowboy life, but be a good man and build an empire and find a wife? How do you hit all three pinnacles? This is a very interesting book. This is literally probably the first like heavy religious book that I've read, but it's very intriguing. How do you live the adventurous life, challenge yourself and tackle obstacles and battle with the world? And how do you find the woman that you fucking are madly in love with and like fits who you are? How do you do that? I don't think you can have the answer. I don't think you can think the answer. That's something I've learned over the years. There's some things that you cannot explain. The logical mind cannot deduce. You're not smart enough. If you think you are, you're just egotistical. I think the answer is just the unknown. I think the call to adventure, going down that hard road, will lead. That is true. The hardest things that I've ever done have borne the best fruits. When I was being a pussy-ass weak boy, playing video games and porn and not challenging myself, that is when my life was the worst, and the worst people and the worst things came into my life. When I was in the fucking abyss, when I was homeless, it was hard. It was hard. But I found the best relationships in my life. I found the best people in my life. James and Scotty, I met them through that darkness. They are some of the best people I've met now. Jake was one of them. Yeah. I don't know, but I think the answer is down the hard road. It's down the cowboy life. And I can feel it. You can feel it. I don't know, whoever the fuck's going to watch this, I don't know if you're going to relate to this. I didn't want to upload this video because it's very personal, and I just wanted to do a journal, but I honestly kind of want the feedback from people to see what they think. Like I'm thinking right now, like if I could read the comments of like, does this resonate with other men? It has to. It has to resonate. So being bold. So another interesting thing, I'm going to wrap this up because we're 51 minutes in. James, the couple that I'm staying with, James was a wild guy too in his younger years. He lived the van life and for 6 years. And he told me an interesting thing. He said he made a promise to himself that he's never going to pay rent again. He's a bit of an anarchist, anti-establishment stuff, which I get. I respect. I'm like that. I'm at heart a rebel. But he didn't want to pay rent. He made a decision. I'm not going to ever fucking pay rent again. I'm assuming because, fuck paying somebody, making somebody else rich. I get that. I like that. It's kind of the entrepreneurial spirit. But the way he went about it is he basically lived out of his van. And then he started dating multiple women, polyamory, just like me. And he started staying with women. But he is like me, where he doesn't like fucking low-lifing and not being... I think every man desires to be valuable and provide value to the people around him. So he wouldn't pay rent with the women that he dated, but he would pay for all the food. He made the deal. I will pay for all the food, but I'm not paying rent, which is interesting. And he kind of recommended that I do that. I don't know if that's something I want to do in my 30s, but I do want to travel a lot, and I'm thinking about hitting the road and road tripping across America, at least for the next, 2 months. I guess I got to sit down and write out. If I'm going to do this, if I'm going to go down the cowboy road, I need to be more organized. I need to write out and map out everything I'm going to do. I have to be more organized. If I'm going to build an empire and I'm going to be a responsible man and be good to the people around me, I've got to be responsible. And eventually, hopefully, if I was making $20,000 a month again, I could just live in a hotel and it'd be fine, or an Airbnb, and I wouldn't have to worry about it, which I can do again. I know, since I've done it before, I know I can do it again. But yeah, I don't want to live with women and pay for food. But it makes sense though, because if you agree with somebody to pay rent and then like you dip out or you break up or something, like that sucks. With you're attached to a contract. Food, I guess, is a less of a contract. Anyways, so I'm starting to lose my voice. Let's wrap this up. It is an interesting concept, though. So, speed dating. if I do start traveling America and meeting women, trying to find my wife, I guess I will find the person that fits me. What's my revelation here? What am I realizing with this conversation and talking to myself? I think the more that I learn who I am and what I love and the life that I want to live, and I build that empire and I build that lifestyle, a woman will find me that fits. I don't know who that's going to be. I have some ideas. There's some women that I think might be that woman, but I also have made the mistake a lot of projecting my ideal woman onto women. I think a lot of guys do that. I think a lot of women do that. I think it's very easy to meet somebody and have the rose-tinted glasses and think they're the best thing since sliced bread, and then over the months you learn who they really are. There is a few women that I've thought about. I'm going to share my screen. I don't know if I should do this or not, but I'll run you through. What's the point of a story and a romance story if you don't know the characters? So there's a few girls that I've been talking to. This girl just texted me. She's here in Austin, Texas. I haven't met her. We've been talking for like a year, but she seems sweet. She's young. She's innocent. She's a raver. She's adventurous. I like her energy. Very sweet, but yeah, no idea. This girl is back in my hometown. I dated her for I don't know how many months now. We've kind of split. She wasn't down with the polyamorous life and dating multiple girls. I won't go too into detail with like personal stuff because out of respect for the people that I'm kind of showing, but these are potentials, I guess. Again, you don't know. This girl, she's actually in Indy, but she's in Houston right now. I just actually had a conversation with her. She's a artist, tattoo artist, just became a flight attendant. She's very introverted, but very kind and sincere and sweet. She seems cool. Haven't met her yet, but we might be meeting this weekend or the next weekend. This woman, she is very interesting, very sweet and extroverted. Don't know a lot about her. Just started talking to her on Tinder and Hinged maybe 2-3 weeks ago. She started a construction company out of spite, from what she told me, and she's a yoga instructor now, and she loves to travel. She's very entrepreneurial and self-aware. She's very spiritually developed and very emotionally intelligent, which I find highly attractive. Doesn't have any kids, but she's in Maui right now. She's doing she's there. She was originally from Hawaii and went back for the Maui and is helping out the fire disaster, the forest fires and stuff out there, which is really awesome. I really like that, being compassionate and caring and loving for other people. Very, very attractive. And then there's this girl. I've talked to this girl for a year or so. We actually had like a long distance relationship over a phone. We developed very intense feelings for each other, and then it blew up because you can't have a long distance relationship. It's just this is something I learned from long distance relationships, and this is why no man should ever get into a long distance relationship unless you're meeting each other regularly. You can't develop trust over a phone with anybody. You can develop emotions, you can develop feelings, you can develop a fantasy, but you can't develop trust with somebody. You have to be in person. Like, trust is built through body language. It is built. We've only been speaking for like 100,000 years. Like, language has only been around for 100,000 years. Let me show you, because I actually mapped this out. Okay, this is a 1-to-1 timeline of the human evolution, of the evolution of humans. So 2 billion years ago, this is actually the evolution of masculine and femininity. I mapped this out a few years ago or 2 years ago when I was exploring myself and getting into Carl Jung psychology and trying to understand what masculinity and femininity is. So 2 billion years ago, proteins or bacteria started exchanging genes. This wasn't true sex. This was more like spit in my mouth, daddy. 1.3 billion years, true sex. I converted these to dollars because it's easier to conceptualize. $13,000 ago. $8,000 ago, first species or first organisms to feel pleasure, nervous system, first hormones, testosterone and estrogen. This is where sexual dimorphism and masculine femininity first started in our species. $5,000 ago. Sharks, lobsters, $3,000. Dinosaurs, $2,500 ago. First mammals, $2,000 ago. Limbic system, $1,500 ago. Limbic system is the social nervous system and hormonal system, serotonin, and but mostly just serotonin, oxytocin maybe. And I'm not sure exactly when they evolved in the species, but long story short, the nervous system, why a dog and a cat is more human-like than lizards. This is because this part of the brain's evolved. First primates, dinosaurs go extinct $600 ago. Age of the wolf, $500, $200 ago. First primates, $50. Chimpanzee, we split from chimpanzees $20 ago. Homo sapiens, $3 ago. First modern atomical man, 50 cents ago. Now, this is when the prefrontal cortex evolved. This is when thought evolved, and language and art and abstract thinking and the ability to deduce and think about the future 50 cents ago. So back to the idea of trust, building trust with people. We've only been able to speak to each other for 50 cents, but the social part of the brain that, like, have you ever been around a crazy dog? You ever been around a dangerous dog or around an animal? Like, you have that, you don't trust them. Like, the variable there is like, I don't trust this thing. It might fucking attack me. Like an alligator. You're going to be a little more different around an alligator than a golden retriever. Well, that part of the brain has been evolving. That part of the technically the threat part of the brain has been evolving forever, since the beginning of time, or beginning of the species. But the limbic system and the hormonal system for human interaction, like, I guess, social interaction, has been $1,500. So logical part of the brain, language, 50 cents. Trust, $1,500. So trust is built through body language. Trust is built through being around somebody, spending time with them. This woman, I've never met, but I developed a deep emotional bond with her, and I really cared about her. She's dating somebody right now. She lives in Canada. We had a falling out because I realized she told me that she loved me, and I couldn't believe it. And I refused that I had feelings for her to that degree because I was incapable of being vulnerable and being honest and transparent with my emotions. I was being a pussy, honestly. I was afraid of being vulnerable and open to this woman because of everything that had happened to me in these past 3 years, becoming homeless and being vulnerable with someone that I thought that I cared about, or that I thought cared about me. And then just destroying my life, and like damage and scars and trauma and all that stuff. But at the same time, that's all bullshit. Like, because who the fuck wants to be with a man who uses his trauma as an excuse for not being honest and authentic? It's not attractive. It's not what a man is. That's what a boy does. That's what an immature man does, is he hides from his feelings and he hides from his emotions, and he's not able to be authentic and honest with himself or the world or women. Man, this video has gotten fucking deep. I did not expect this is the first video journal I've ever been in, but yeah, I fucked this one up. I rejected her. I pushed her away. I played it safe. I shouldn't have done that. But you live and you learn. It is what it is. I don't know if I'm going to make this video public. I need some feedback. I need to send this video to some people I trust and see what they think. for the longest time, I've wanted to make videos over the human experience. Like, that's really what I want to depict in my art. My videos I consider art, even though they're educational and helpful. I want to create something that resonates with the human soul. I think I might be onto something here. But this girl's dating somebody recently over the past 2 weeks. I might drive to Medicine Hat and meet her, but I know there's going to be some people that probably watch this and be like, you're a fucking dumbass, dude. Maybe. But I'd rather be a bold dumbass than a pussy. I'm losing my voice. I need more coffee. And who knows? This might not be the girl. She might not be it. Who knows? You don't know. You don't know. You have no idea. And this is something I need to remind myself. I think that every man needs to be reminded. You don't know a person until you really spend a lot of time with them. If you're 30 years old and you've been dating for somebody for 6 months, you've only known them for 1% of their entire life. 1%. So if you're going through a breakup or you're going through the abyss that I went through, if you're homeless, I don't know how you're watching this if you're homeless, but if you got a internet connection, I guess. If you're going through it from somebody that you dated, and you only dated for even 2 years, if you're 30 years old, I guess it's a bit more of a percentage if you're younger, but it's still only like 5%. You've known somebody for 5% of your life. If they do something to you, this is something I didn't realize. I wish I had known. Somebody hurts you. The saying, you only let people hurt you if you let them hurt you, or something like that. It's true. That person is acting and behaving because of who they are, because of their experiences, because of their past, because of the things that happened to them. It has nothing to do with you. This girl, we blew up because she had, I knew what happened. She had insecurities and some trauma from a past relationship, and she was, I don't like being controlled. Adventurous cowboy type, I guess, rebellious. I don't like being constricted in any fashion. And she was nervous and upset with me traveling to Vegas, and she was freaking out while I was on the flight to there, and we had this big blow up while I was landing in Vegas, and I knew exactly what was happening. I was so stressed out about the flight, and my friend wasn't showing up, but it's not an excuse. A man needs to be able to handle his stress. But I lacked compassion. I think that's the biggest mistake that I made, is I did not have compassion for the situation and for her. She was hurting. She was scared. And she just wanted to know that she was secure. She wanted to know that I cared about her. That's not when she told me she loved me. She told me she loved me a couple weeks later. But she was telling me because she wanted to see if I cared about her. And I did. But I couldn't admit to myself that I did. I couldn't admit to myself that I had fallen in love with a girl over a fucking phone. Because it's weird. It's weird to develop feelings for somebody over a fucking phone that you've never met. It's hard to trust somebody. But I should have been more compassionate towards her, because she was, I think the feminine, let's talk about feminine and masculinity. I said that this video is going to end, but it's still going. I'll wrap this up, I guess. But I think masculinity, part of masculinity is the cowboy, the adventure, the battle and the challenges, saving the woman or falling in love with the woman, whatever you want to call it, whatever that aspect is. But there's also another aspect of protecting, building a place that the feminine can be safe. Because, honestly, true femininity, a beautiful woman, the world can be fucking dangerous for that woman. I've traveled a lot. I've met a lot of women. it's kind of shitty to say, but like really beautiful women, it's fucking dangerous for them to travel alone. Like the world can be vicious, and I think the part of the masculine role is to protect the feminine and build a space where the feminine can blossom. I mean, that's the fantasy, isn't it? You know, you look at movies like build the empire, like that's the fucking fantasy. But if you really break that down, like a good movie on this is Leonardo DiCaprio and the Dream movie. What's the Dream movie where he goes into people's dreams? Inception. There's a part in that where he falls in love with a woman and they escape into this world and they build their own world. They build their own universe together, and that's just them. Like that is the feminine and masculine fantasy. But if you think about it, she died. He wasn't able to protect her. He wasn't able to create a castle for his queen. So, like, you can't develop yourself into a fully developed man, if you don't have a castle, if you don't have a kingdom. Like, what is a king without a kingdom? What is a king without a castle? But it's more than just, like, a physical thing. It is a symbolic representation of, like, you are safe here. Like, my people are safe here. My family is safe here. My children are safe here. My wife is safe here. You are not a man if you can't make a woman feel safe. And what is the biggest fear that a woman has when she goes on a date? Is this dude an axe murderer? Like that's the biggest fear. Is this man safe? Is this man going to protect me, or is he going to hurt me? And if I think about like how I was, a boy wants to play it safe too. A boy wants to the psychology of a boy. He wants to be protected by by his mother and by his father, and not go out into the wild. And if he gets hurt, he can come back. But you can't be a man and play it safe. But you do need to develop stability in your life, and you need to have a castle that you can retreat to. So, yeah, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm kind of just rambling now. I think the next step here, I've got 10 days in Texas. I'm with my friends till the 5th, and then I'm going to be in a hotel. I know what I need to do in business. We didn't talk about business at all. I was going to, but this video has gotten too long. I was going to tell you about my businesses and stuff that I'm building, but honestly, that goes back to the concept. I can teach anybody how to make money. Like, it's not hard to make money once you know how to make money. That's not the hard part. Figuring this shit out is hard. Figuring this stuff out is why my $250,000 I made from one YouTube video isn't around now, because I didn't value building a castle, building stability, building a place where the feminine can blossom and be safe and protected. I was too much of a pussy to tell women that I fucking loved them and that I wanted to take care of them and be there for them. Man. Shit is hard to fucking say. Oh, okay. What do I need to do moving forward? Probably should put a shirt on for the next video. I need to figure out how to build a castle. I need a castle. I need a place I can retreat to. I think that's going to be a small plot of land with a tiny home and internet where I can go to and retreat and build my business and build my empire, my YouTube, my businesses. But I also need, I need the adventure. I need the cowboy. I need to be out in the fucking world, tackling things, challenging myself. Got into jiu-jitsu a lot. I could travel and do a lot of jiu-jitsu. I think that'd be fucking cool. Traveling to different gyms across America and meeting people. That would be awesome. That would be amazing. Meeting men from all over the fucking, I don't know, just anywhere. That's the thing about the adventure, is you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. Maybe I'll meet Bobby in Canada and she'll fall back in love with me and we'll get married and live a fucking life. maybe we won't. Maybe she'll fucking date the other guy, and I'll never see her again, and it'll just be some other woman in my past. I have no idea, and I'm not. It's not even worth thinking about. For the young guys that get obsessed or overthink, it's pointless to think about it. Just let it go. Just be. It is what it is. Just surrender and let go of the control. It's weird. Simultaneously, you have to build control as a man. You have to build your castle. You have to have control of what you need in life. But you also have to just accept that you can lose everything and that everything can go to shit. And there's nothing you can do about it because that's life. So stop trying to control everything. I think that goes back to the polyamory thing and dating multiple women. The thing that I liked about that was you kind of accept and surrender that you have no idea what's going to happen with the person that you're dating. You might be together forever. You might be together for 2 weeks. You might fall in love over a phone and never meet. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'm hanging this up. I need to strategize. If I'm going to do the cowboy road, if I'm going to build a castle, if I'm going to be the best man that I can be, if I'm going to build businesses and make millions of dollars, I need to be organized. I need to know exactly what I'm going to be doing and the strategy, and I need to be disciplined, and I need to be focused, and I need to know who the fuck I am and what I'm doing. And that will give me clarity on all this other stuff. So the next video, I'm going to come back with a game plan. I'm going to come back with a strategy. All right. If anyone ever watches this video, I hope you enjoyed it.